Hi, and welcome back to Bounce Forward with me, Tiff. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm recording this podcast, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders, past and present. Darcy came to me with a question that I get a lot. How can I make my meals more vegan? So making your meals more vegan involves substituting animal-based ingredients with plant-based ones. And I have several things that you can do. So you want to replace your dairy products. You can use plant-based milks like almond, soy, oat, or coconut milk instead of cow's milk, for example. Try vegan cheese and yogurt alternatives and use coconut oil, vegan butter, or margarine in place of butter. Then if you want to substitute meat, there's heaps of choice. You can use beans, lentils, tofu as protein sources instead of meat. Explore mock meats and vegan sausages available in the supermarket. Super easy to get. And you can incorporate lots of nuts and seeds like almonds, sunflower seeds, chia seeds for more protein and nutrients. Now, egg alternatives, because if you love baking, you can use flax seeds or chia seeds mixed with water or banana puree, applesauce. You can find vegan egg replacers that will help you with your baking. For dishes like scrambled eggs or omelets, try using scrambled tofu. I really like that with some turmeric for color and added flavor. And then you've got to rethink your base ingredients. So using whole grain pasta, bread and rice as staples instead of those made with refined grains or eggs, and include a variety of vegetables and fruits in your meals to ensure a range of nutrients, because we want you to still get the nutrients in. That's always a bit of a trap. You want to cook with flavor too. So you've got your herbs, your spices, nutritional yeast, vinegars, plant-based sauces to add flavor, and explore different cuisines that are naturally plant-based or vegan friendly. That's a huge tip, like Asian, Middle Eastern, and Mediterranean dishes. And then you need to really plan your meals to ensure you are getting the nutrients and to prevent relying on processed vegan foods, because that's always easy to just get the processed stuff. But you got to make sure that you're getting sources of protein, iron, calcium, and your vitamin B12s, which are common concerns in vegan diets. And then I'd say, experiment with your recipes, substituting plant-based ingredients for animal products. Look for vegan recipes online. Always read labels, because animal-derived ingredients can be hidden. Watch out for ingredients like gelatin, whey, and honey, and educate yourself. You've really got to get on top of it. It's a hard thing to learn. I'm not vegan myself, so I'm still learning, and I do like to do meat-free Mondays and definitely integrate some of that, but you want to be able to get your omega-3 fatty acids, your B12, your iron, your calcium, your protein in still. So you've really got to make sure that you're hitting those marks, because it can be a bit hard. So if you feel like you're becoming deficient and you're just not hitting the protein outcomes or getting the vitamins in, then you can look at doing a protein powder or maybe a Vita Greens, like a mixed greens powder. There's a really good one by Elle Macpherson, Wellco. They do a beautiful mixed greens that I love. The other thing is I've had a lot of clients transition to being more vegan or even being vegan completely, and they've struggled with training. They have really struggled with energy and also to put on muscle. And that's because they're not eating enough protein and because they're not getting enough energy from good carbohydrates and protein. And you do need the carbohydrates to help facilitate the protein. So it is a struggle to get the protein in. I get it. And you've got to just be super aware of hitting that, say, 50 to 60 grams of protein a day, and maybe even track it in a food tracker so that you see your inputs and see that you're making the protein that you need to make every day. It's really, really important. A great question came in from Lexi. What size dumbbells should I be using for strength training? 2 kilos, 5 kilos, 7 kilos? What's a rule of thumb for how much to start with, when to move up, and so on? I'm scared of injuring myself, so want to go slow. Such a great question, Lexi. And I'm always reminding myself of this rule because I'm always wanting to, progress. And the way you progress with strength training is through progressive overload. So you want to keep upping your weights. But when do you do that? And how do you do that? So for weight loss, research has found that lifting between 60 and 80% of your 1 rep max, that is the heaviest amount of weight you can lift for 1 repetition of an exercise, is the best way to stimulate muscle growth, which is what helps you to lose the fat. The problem is that most of us don't think about how much weight we need or go to the trouble of figuring out our 1 rep max for every exercise we do. In fact, I see so many of my members and gym goers lifting the same weights week after week because it's just easier than actually working out your 1 rep max for each single exercise you're going to do in the gym. It's just not possible. So this is one way you can do it, but I have a different way of figuring it out. So how do you do that? Here's what I suggest. Choose a weight that you can lift with good technique for 12 to 16 repetitions, which constitutes 1 set. You don't need to go into complete muscle failure, but make sure you're really feeling challenged by the weight. Begin with 1 set of each exercise, slowly working your way up to 2 to 3 sets, adding a set each week. When you've added sets and have a solid foundation, after 6 to 8 weeks, add enough weight so that you can only do 8 to 12 reps. Continue to progress by adding a rep each week until you reach the max reps, no more than 16. Then increase your weight again and drop your reps back to 8 to 12 again and continue that process, okay? The important thing to remember when it comes to strength training is that you must give your muscles more weight than they can handle. That's time under tension. That is the most important rule of thumb. And that's how muscles grow. The challenge of lifting heavier weights is just as much a mental game as a physical one. So if you haven't pushed your body's limits in a while, the act of lifting weights alone may be all you can handle. If you're consistent with a basic program and build that solid foundation of like 3 sets before you move up, then you're going to be ready for the next step. You don't have to be worried about injury, and increasing the amount of weight to push your muscles to the limits will be the next step. You're not going to be freaked out. You're not going to be injured. It's going to be a gradual, progressive overload, and that's what we're after. So a set constitutes 12 to 16 reps. You have different kinds of sets. You can have the high rep ranges, which is 12 to 16 reps, or you could have lower rep ranges of like 6 to 8 reps. And both are fine. As you get heavier, you want to do less reps though, okay? Because it's more time under tension and it's harder. So you want to drop the reps down as you get heavier. And it's good safety too. And if you're feeling sore and you think, I'm just going to skip sets, don't. You've got to keep doing the sets. Just do less weight. That's when you pull the weight back, but you aim to still get the set out. It's really important. Training to muscle failure, you've got to break those fibers down to rebuild them. You don't want to just do 1 set and go home. It's actually not enough stimulus for the muscle. So my advice is to drop the weight down on those days when you're really, really sore. So you still get the volume in. That's still going to affect the muscle, but it's just not as heavy. Thanks so much for listening to Bounce Forward. I love having your company, so please DM me on Instagram at tiffhall_xo and let me know what topics you'd love me to cover. Don't forget to rate and review me on your podcast app. Speak soon. Happy days.